All right, welcome back. We are here at FETC recording a session live. We just had an incredible esports experience. We had the teams from Boise State and Southern University go head-to-head in Rocket League. We also had the coaches go head-to-head. It was a bloodbath out there. But for right now, we're just going to go around the table here, do quick introductions, and talk a little bit about esports and what it's meant in our lives. We're going to start right here.
Hi, my name is Joannie, and I go to Boise State, and I do most of the production there. I'm right now in this event. I'm the directing production person, so I control whatever goes on the live streams and capture the players' perspectives and have the casters in the cameras as well.
All right, favorite game right now?
My favorite game right now, I think right now it still goes back to League of Legends. It's the sport that I grew into loving esports, and I also grew up playing that game, and I'm have over 200 hours and all of that. So League of Legends is something I go back to a lot. I have a soft spot for, even though even people think it's a complicated game, but I think it's something that I developed me as a person and as my professional career.
Love it. All right, we're going to throw it across the table. Artemis.
Hi, my name's Artie Rain. I am shoutcaster for Boise State University. I have been for about 4 years. I graduated from BSU with my undergrad. I was competing at that time. I did my master's at BSU, so I got my master's and then retired at the end of my master's, going for my doctorate now, and now I just work broadcast. I also cast for George Fox University and on my own time for other organizations, and I'm a coach for Overwatch 2 at George Fox.
That doesn't sound like enough things.
Oh, I'm auditioning for a film on Sunday.
Perfect. And favorite game right now?
So my favorite game is actually non-competitive. It's called Ultra Kill. It's still in pre-alpha right now. It's a really, really fun game if anyone wants to check it out.
All right, sounds good. Last but not least.
Hey, I'm Emiliano Flores. I'm a student but also a player at Boise State University. I play Rocket League. My online name is also Dirtho. Yeah, that's about it, man.
All right, what's current rank in Rocket League?
Oh, man. My current rank right now, I think, is SSL right now, but my peak was like 2275 MMR. I was top 3 in the world at that time, so not bad at all.
That sounds okay. Same. That's also where I peaked. So tell me a little bit about, we're going to come back to our side of the table here. Tell me a little bit about the behind the scenes, right? So what goes on when you're building the stream, when you're doing the stream, and why is that important to an esports program overall?
So in Boise State, we love to highlight the players. We love the gameplay as well. It's something that we talk about, but we always highlight the players. Something that Doc would say is always tell the story of the players and what they do, and that is something that we excel in. And so the pre-production process of it is that we kind of have our own storylines in our production room where we know what to say, we know how different players are going to play on the field or in any of the FPS games. So I think that pre-production comes for knowing what to expect, knowing our opponent, and then also just prepping the production in the stream and just all together how the show would flow through a rundown and just conversing, and whatever happens. And so we'll always have to be prepared for it. So that's what broadcast is. It's always expect the unexpected.
Love it. And then, what I love about another thing that Doc says about your program, right? He calls it a broadcasting program that happens to be about esports, right? So I think one of the reasons we had you all here was because the broadcasting is a central piece of telling the story, like you mentioned, telling the story of the players, telling the story of the game. And what we saw, Artie, when you were casting just now, was that you're explaining it a little bit to the audience. So maybe go through what are not to steal Doc's 3 keys of the game, but what would Doc's 3 keys or Artie's 3 keys of shoutcasting be?
So shoutcasting, it really varies based off the game, but focusing on Rocket League as it tends to be a very good gauge on someone if they can get into casting. You're supposed to be describing what you're seeing, and the best way I can relate it to something a lot of other people are familiar with is actually when you're listening to a football game or basketball game on the radio. You have that person that is sitting there explaining what they are seeing as in detail as they can without getting too technical. And that is exactly what I do as as a shoutcaster. Now, additionally, we do shoutcasting. We don't designate a color caster when we do casting. And the color casting is when you bring in the story. You talk about the rivalry that exists between these two teams, the plays that you notice that these players like to pull out, or like composition swaps that you're seeing if it's in a game like Overwatch. And so understanding the story and rivalry behind a team, understanding like how Dirther likes to play versus how we have Gil who plays more on the back line, and then we have Instinct and how those three players work together. We have the passing player, we have that midfield controller, and then we have the person that's just going completely AWOL and aggro, and in his words, I score many goals. And so that is where you can bring in that color, but it's important to know a balance of keeping people interested in what's happening so they don't have to chronically have their eyes on their screen to know what's going on, but then still keeping them active in the story that you're discussing with them by talking about the players, talking about what they've been working on, and making sure that you are up to date on the story of the two teams.
All right, and now back to you, back to my player here. As a fellow Rocket League player who plays in a very different, we'll call it league than you do, what drew you to that game originally?
Oh man, honestly, I first watched the game from a YouTuber named Mr. Fruit Gaming when I was like 11, 12 years old. It was such a long time ago. And I thought it was so fascinating with the game of like, it was physics-based, it was like super cool. And then once I got into the game, I noticed that like, compared to other games, there's no like certain car, certain boost, or anything that separates you from anybody else. So it was all skill-based. You know, if you're good at the game, it will show for sure. And that's what drew me closer. And then as soon as I get more, I got into the esports, and honestly, I wanted to go pro ever since I was 12. Pretty young.
What are at your level of the game, what are like the three things that separate a player who wins from a player who loses?
Honestly, it's mentality at the end of the day. That's the biggest thing. You could be mechanically one of the best players in the world, but if you're not having good mental fortitude and can't consolidate your thoughts before a match or be able to communicate with your teammates, you will honestly hinder yourself rather than actually do well in the future.
All right, well, I'll just say that today was incredible. We appreciate all of you so much, and thank you for literally letting me grab you all and bring you to the table. So anything else you want to share before we go?
I'd like to shout out where I'm from. I definitely want to inspire more people in the U.S. territory, especially in Guam and in Saipan, that there are definitely different careers outside of what we are exposed to. And so definitely outreaching to like creativity and all of that would be nice for me to like share to everyone back in my hometown.
For me, it's your game isn't always going to stay the same. It may not always stick around. Evident by I started in Overwatch 1 as a tank player, and I ended up being a support player, and then Overwatch 2 happened, and I was very happy I wasn't still playing off tank because my role vanished. And at the end of the day, you don't know how long your game is going to stay. Make sure that you get the skills necessary to do things outside of either A, the game you initially started in, or B, branch out and do what other people at our university have done, and that is get into the broadcasting aspect, understand the networking that goes into esports. I myself never imagined I would be talking in front of people and just explaining video games and acting really hype and fun about it and excited, because that's exactly what my job is every day, and I enjoy it so much, and it's all because I decided to play Overwatch.
Love it.
Oh yeah, for me, honestly, I just want to thank my mom and dad. I have to, you know, they're amazing parents who have supported me throughout this whole endeavor, through trials and tribulations. And my little sister Mia, I love you so much. And go Broncos! I love Broncos.
All right, Mom and Dad, thank you. All of you, thank you. Appreciate you all, and thanks for being out here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.